Getting dressed should not be this hard, but somehow it is. And that's why I love Armoire, because Armoire makes getting dressed easy with a clothing rental membership that helps you build the perfect wardrobe with high quality, unique brands picked just for you. You just take a quick 5-minute style quiz, choose from your personalized closet, and your pieces show up at your door in as little as 2 days. I've been using Armoire a lot when I travel, and I'm heading to the East Coast soon. And instead of buying coats and sweaters I'll never wear in LA, I rented the cutest ones through Armoire. And the hot tip is I get them delivered to the hotel, so I don't have to carry them in my luggage. It's also my favorite way to test new styles without committing or cluttering my closet. I love that I always have something new to wear without the decision fatigue and without feeling guilty about wearing something once. Right now, Dateable listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 60% off their first month. That's up to $150 off. Just visit armoire.style/dateable. That's ARMOIRE.style/DATEABLE to get up to 60% off your first month and never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today.
These days, I'm all about quality over quantity, especially in my closet. If it's not well made and versatile, it's just not worth it to me. That's honestly why I love Quince. The fabrics feel elevated, the cuts are thoughtful, and the pricing actually makes sense. My entire wardrobe at this point is pretty much Quince. Their cotton V-neck tee is my go-to, whether it's a nice day on its own or for any layering. It just feels so luxe and comfortable and was a fraction of the price of anywhere else I looked. And that's because Quince works directly with safe, ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen. You're not paying for brand markup or fancy retail stores, just quality clothing. Right now, go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping and 365-day returns. That's a full year to wear it and love it. And you will. Now available in Canada too. Don't keep settling for clothes that don't last. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable. The number one skill you could have in dating is... You're probably guessing communication. In a way it is, but I want to get a bit more specific. In my opinion, it's seeking clarity. And this may not be in the way you think, so stay with me. But hello to everyone listening. Julie here with another Quickie. So when you hear seeking clarity, you may think knowing what you're looking for and getting clear on your needs in a relationship. While that is certainly a part of it, it goes a lot deeper. Seeking clarity is about removing ambiguity and getting answers. I actually think staying in limbo for too long is one of the most detrimental mistakes people make to find their person. And take that from someone who was in a slew of situationships and an on-again, off-again relationship that lasted far too long. If I had been clear about what I wanted, what I needed from a partner, gotten my answers earlier, then I could have moved on from these situations that weren't aligned for me and found ones that actually were. Luckily, I realized this the last time I was dating and allowed me to cut off anything that wasn't working and even get quote unquote rejected by people first, since I was fully putting myself out there in ways I hadn't before. So the cost of not getting clarity is actually quite high. Unfulfilling situations wear down your mental health, confidence, and lead to dating burnout. In a recent Instagram poll about what part of the dating process contributed to the most burnout, 34% of people said the aftermath of a date. The waiting, the guessing, not knowing what was going on, and just being in this ambiguous state. Another side effect is the wear and tear to your friendships. When you're using them as sounding boards to just keep going through and trying to get these answers to things that honestly they don't know because they're not the person in question. They think that they're going out to brunch to catch up, but instead you spend the whole time dissecting what the person you're dating may or may not have been thinking because you haven't asked them directly. This wreaks havoc to friendships. And of course, the obvious factor is time, because there's a huge opportunity cost here, where time spent with the wrong people is preventing you from finding the right one. What does seeking clarity look like? like when dating. First, use confusion as your cue. Anytime you're trying to dissect big signals or don't know where someone stands, it's time to seek clarity. When you first start dating someone, of course, there's going to be some ambiguity. You don't need to sit them down to ask where this is going on date one. What you give or ask is relative to the situation. In this example, though, seeking clarity could be sending a text at the end of the night, engaging their response instead of holding back, waiting for them to make a move. It could be putting out there first that you had a good time and being clear you're interested in seeing them again. If you're rolling your eyes thinking this would make you undesirable and lose the mystery, think again. We hear from daters of all genders and sexualities that is so refreshing when someone is transparent and not playing games. After a first great date to within the first couple of months of dating is where this really shows up, though, the most. If you're constantly reading between the lines, overanalyzing texts, or replaying your dates, then seeking clarity is what you need to focus on. Again, it's not about demanding answers or coercing someone to do things as you'd like, but it's about putting yourself out there, being transparent about your needs, and asking someone where they're at. You aren't losing power by texting first, but you are losing a boatload of time and energy, though, if you spend all that time overanalyzing all the possible scenarios instead of just finding out where you stand. We actually have this chapter in our book, How to Be Dateable, called Investing Appropriately, where we encourage people to be the CEO of their love lives. As a boss in your job, literally or figuratively, you're not going to wait passively for answers. Instead, you're going to ask. You're going to find out the constraints of a project, whether it's going to move forward or not. And if you are someone that is an actual boss, you might even fire employees who aren't up to the task. But why in our dating lives do we think asking or putting our intentions out there makes us look so needy? For years, I was that dater that never wanted to text first, ask someone out, or initiate a DTR to find the relationship convo. I still remember when I told a guy friend of mine about this great date I went on, and he asked if I was going to text the guy and tell him that. I looked at him like he had 10 heads and thought he was so out of touch with dating. He was married. And as a woman, I would never do that. I would never be the one to tell someone my feelings and initiate convo first. But as time went on and dates never amounted to more, I realized that I actually wasn't serving myself by being like this. In every other part of life, I was assertive, I made my intentions known, and got the answers I was looking for. So why was I so different in dating? And, this was baby steps too. At first, it looked like just reaching out first on a dating app, or asking to move the convo to text, or suggesting meeting up. Basically anything to get out of the waiting game. And then it finally evolved to having the courage of asking the person I was seeing undefined for months at that point if they'd want something more serious. When he said no, he hadn't been in a relationship since college and had no intention of being one, I got my answer. I knew that if I wanted these things, this was not the person for me. I could stay around for another 6 months, or I could move on and find someone more aligned. And then when I saw a photo on Facebook posted at this fancy restaurant, House of Prime Rib, if you know, in San Francisco, you do not get a reservation there on a whim. You have to book this months and months away. And it was clear that in this photo, it was his birthday and he was there with a girl. So he was dating her, probably over the same time as me. And he was absolutely interested in a relationship, just not with me, is what I learned. So seeing this photo, did it sting like hell? Yes. Did asking him and him telling me he is not relationship ready for me, did that sting? Hell yeah. But did it ultimately set me free? Abso-fucking-lutely. So look, they ultimately got married and I was able to live my life and not be on the hook thinking something was going somewhere that it wasn't. So the situation was what it was. You don't always get the answer you want, and when you seek clarity, and that's okay. This is what keeps you moving in dating, though, and not stuck in fantasy land, being completely unrealistic about a situation. Had I not asked this guy, for instance, I would have spent another 6 months thinking this could be something. The thing is, you don't need a dramatic conversation either. You just need clearer ones. I know personally, this was the biggest shift I made in my dating life. And the last time I was dating before I met my husband, and dating felt so much lighter because of it. No longer was I driving myself crazy, wondering if they'd text or not. I just texted. And I was either met with, so good to hear from you, let's hang out again, or an explanation of why they weren't interested. When someone was being vague, saying they were interested but not making the time, I was able to ask clarifying questions that made me realize that this was not a situation I wanted to engage with. And I could move on to finally meet my husband, who never made me question his intentions. I asked questions, got answers, and made moves accordingly because I was clear on what I wanted and decided I was no longer wanting to waste time and heartache on something that wasn't aligned. Leading with clarity is empowering. It makes you a confident dater who goes after what they want. I became the type of person who didn't guess where I stand or built my life on assumptions. And as a dreamer, one of our dating archetypes, if you haven't taken the quiz, go take it now on our website, dateablepodcast.com. Anyway, I am a dreamer through and through, and I tended in my dating life to live in fantasy land of what could be and getting ahead of myself, and this was really holding me back. So switching to the seeking clarity mindset instead of living in a state of ambiguity calmed my nervous system and removed the anxiety in dating. So hopefully this inspired you to turn to clarity in your dating process. The one thing you need to do today is tune into your confusion. If you're feeling anxious about a situation or confused, this is your signal for a clarity check. Think about the one question you could ask to get your answer to the person who can actually give it to you. As you can see, I'm passionate about this topic and want to keep diving in. If you've enjoyed this quickie, make sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you aren't already. And if you want an instant way to get clarity on your love life, go download our dating coaching app on studio.com/dateable. And of course, pick up our book, How to Be Dateable, which is rooted in this approach. Hope this was helpful. Bye.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.